Good morning, everybody. It is Friday at 10:30. This is CEO Chat. My name is Al Cini.
I'm still Joe Osmendi.
Just like last week.
Yep. Just like
and you know, Joe, earlier this morning on Morning Coffee, I was asking you, have you ever seen those pop-up ads that you know, in your case for Viagra and for Depends? I mean, those things, you know.
Even Snoopy.
Yes, even those. You get those. One of the reasons why I was looking forward to this conversation is we're talking to Helen Horstmann. Let's talk about FASTMAIL.
Let's.
Because this is such an exciting topic to me, because I've been on email for a long time.
As have I.
We often wonder what happens to our email. What's going on when we create those messages, and when it's in the cloud, who's reading them besides us? And when we click OK to the terms and conditions, we're pretty much saying we're allowing anything to happen, aren't we?
You know, yes, definitely. Good morning, guys.
Good
Thanks
morning.
for having me on.
Yeah, that's.
Definitely, you know, I think that the way the internet has worked has been changing for a long time. And nowadays, right, your terms and conditions are very, very permissive. And lots of companies, especially companies that are out there giving you services for free, aren't really doing it out of the goodness of their heart, right? They're monetizing your behavior. So those terms and conditions say they're tracking you all over the internet. And I think most people don't really think too much about what that means, but you can build a very rich picture of a person based on where they go, what they search for, the companies they sign up to do business with, the things they buy, and all of that on your web browser and through your email.
And it becomes their data. You agreed when you clicked OK that you don't own it anymore. This is something you're allowing them a certain amount of access.
Certain amount of access to, yeah, absolutely.
And so where FASTMAIL comes in is you're an email provider.
Yes.
It's for a fee, but a very reasonable fee, with a lot of extra bells and whistles added to it that you don't get for free from a provider like Google. But the big story on Action News is it's your data. You don't give that up to anybody, and you don't do anything else with it other than move it where you said you wanted it to go.
That's right. So we always talk about ourselves as a Gmail alternative for people who care about their privacy, right? Email's got a very rich feature set. People really care about using it, right? They have their very special workflows. They need to get through their day, right? Email is a critical part of most people's business day. But the difference is, you know, at FASTMAIL, we're here to serve you, right? You're the customer, you know, you're paying for it. And so all of our features are really designed around helping you out rather than how can we get more of your data and what else can we do with it and who else should we
how could we monetize
that?
Your interactions,
That's
which is
right.
really what they're doing.
Yep.
You did make the point yesterday on the pre-interview that if you don't care about privacy, then why do you pull your drapes down? Why do you pull
That's
your
exactly
shades
right.
down?
Right. People
Let's
say
talk
to
about
themselves-
privacy, because I don't think people really understand what that means.
That's right. I think people think about privacy on the internet and they say, oh, I don't have anything to hide. I'm not doing anything.
Everybody
secret.
thinks that.
Right. But, you know, right. As I said, you know, if you pull down your shades at night, you care about privacy. Everybody deserves some modicum of privacy. And, you know, it's different levels at different places, right? And people don't think about how much of themselves is out there, right? You might be okay with a business knowing that you shop there. I mean, of course, you want them to know that you're a customer and treat you like a valued one.
Sure.
And it would be very different if they were following you around with a camera everywhere you went all day long, 24 hours a day. But that's effectively what we've agreed to on the internet for lots of businesses we interact with.
What bothers me about this, though, is I'm always afraid of losing my email. I mean, that's a fear to me. If I would say, when we talked yesterday, sounded like a great idea after we got off, I said, you know, I'd like to try that, but what happens if I lose my email? Isn't that a fear that a lot of people have in changing?
Absolutely. As I told you yesterday, I have every email I've ever sent or received for the last 25 years, right? And that's a really rich source of information for myself, for, you know, like someday maybe my kids will want to go back and see the messages that their father and I exchanged early on. But yeah, I would hate to lose that. And I, in fact, have like burned it onto CDs, so I have a hard copy somewhere. But you know, we have really great import tools. We know that's important to people, so how do you get that in? And the great thing about data is it is easy to copy, right? So you can import it to FASTMAIL, know you've got everything because you still have your old Gmail copy, and say, oh, it's all there.
Yeah, you don't have to close your old account
That's
down.
right.
You can keep that.
That's
it's
right.
just that now all of a sudden you're using the new one rather than the old one.
That's right.
And you know, I do want to point out right up front, it's $5 a month to be a FASTMAIL user.
That's right.
Which is all inclusive, and there's a huge feature set. I want to explore that. Also want to point out, FASTMAIL has been in business now for 2 decades.
Yes.
So it's not like you just started last week. You've
Absolutely.
been around keeping people's emails safe and secure for more than 20 years.
And in fact, we do a lot of work in the greater email community, building up email standards and talking about how companies should interoperate, right? One of the beautiful things about email, and one of the reasons why it's such an important part of people's day, is because you can email anyone anywhere, right? It's not a closed system. And so in order for that to work, right, in order for an email address to be as universal as a telephone number, companies need to work together, and we participate in that process, right? And we work with Apple, and we work with Google, and we work with all the big email providers about what the new standards are and how we can cooperate to make sure to solve problems like spam and solve problems like making sure your email gets delivered.
Great.
And you can have multiple accounts too, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And I
Actually, multiple aliases for the same account, which is one of the features you talked about yesterday that I thought was great.
Yes, so aliases is actually one of my favorite features. I don't think people think that much about it, right? But there's no reason why you need to have just one email address.
Right.
In fact, I have dozens, right? I have the email address that's my personal private address that I only ever give to individuals who I know closely. I have the one that's on my business card, and then I have a different one that I give to every company I do business with, right? So when I get an email from the Gap, right, I know because they've sent it to
That
their
was the
special-
email you used
only
to
for
connect
them,
to the Gap.
right? Exactly right. And when I, go to Banana Republic, I have a different email address, and across the internet. So when suddenly I get an email in my inbox, I'm like, that's interesting. I don't know where that came from, right? The alias that I used helps me figure
It
out.
tells you they must have gotten it from that email address.
That's exactly
Somehow
right.
they got it.
That's right.
However they got it, whether I gave it to them or they got it somewhere else,
That's
which is
right.
always possible.
And what the beautiful thing about the alias system is you can just say, stop sending me that mail, right?
And
That-
you could just go, well, okay, so now that is one feature that I hadn't thought about, having read your feature list, which is really pretty involved. For $5 a month, you get a lot. That's one of the features. Multiple aliases for an account so that you can track who's using which email address. It helps you get to the source of some stuff
Right.
you might be getting that you don't want to get.
Yeah, and all in one inbox too. It's not like you have to go then check.
And I can tell where it came from. I can tell which alias it came from, but it's not like I have to go look in 20 different places
That's
to see
right.
all that. I get all that. Another feature, too, that you offer, aside from the privacy, which is built in, the email aliases, you also offer, I can use my own domain for my email address.
You bet.
Google, if I say I want that, Google charges me for that.
Yeah.
This is included in the $5 a month that I pay.
That's right. Yes. So even Google knows that there's, reasons to charge people.
They do.
Right? And domains are a big one. And I think everyone should have their own domain. A domain is really your personal identity on the internet, right? And you can have that email address forever. And the great thing about domains is they're totally portable, right? We were talking a little bit yesterday about back when you had cell phones and you had to change your number if you wanted to change your cell phone provider.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, email addresses are like that, right? If you have a gmail.com address,
I'm
if you
not
leave
gmail.com
Gmail, right, you
anymore.
have to
Right.
leave it. And you can get a fastmail.com address too. But we really encourage everybody to consider, shouldn't you have your own personal domain, right? And when you have your own personal domain, you can always move that between providers.
That's important, and you make that easy for them.
Yes.
Now, what about capacity? How much, you kept every email you've ever gotten.
Yes, and I'll tell you, in 25 years, that's still only 12 gigs of email, right?
Seriously,
Yes.
only 12 gigs.
Because
So-
email's not that big, right? It's just text
Okay.
versus pictures or videos, right? Like that you could use up a lot very quickly. But yeah,
Okay.
our $5 a month account includes 30 gigs, so I think that keeps most people covered for a
Plenty
good
of
amount
room,
of time.
plenty of room for that. And search, you've got the ability to search what's in the message, what the subject field is, who sent it to you.
In fact, our search is one of the best features for us. Like, we put a lot of effort into it. We have customers all over the world, and so we really work on making our search comprehensive, making sure it can check different languages, it can search inside your attachments. And so we put a lot of effort into supporting email clients like Outlook or Mac Mail. But when I'm looking for a message and I can't find it, like, I always go
You
to
go
our
to the
own
web- the
search.
web interface.
Right, because
Right.
search oftentimes is local, right? That's how it works quickly,
Sure.
right?
Uh-huh.
And so when Mac Mail can't find it for me, I'm like, well, I know
And
it's
you-
there,
I know,
and
I
I
know
go
it.
search
I know,
on the
and I'll
web.
find it with your interface.
That's right.
And
Yes.
it's web-based. I don't need a special client.
That's right.
So
Yes.
that's cool.
You
But I
can
do have
bring-
you have an app I can install.
We have an app, we have a web client, and if you have an email client that you're happy with, one of the things about our effort around email standards is it will work, right? We put a lot of effort into making sure that we support all the clients that have
Okay.
regular mail support.
So if I have Outlook, I can add this inbox to it along with the other inboxes I might have.
Yeah.
But I don't really need a whole lot of email providers. If I add up all the features that you offer, I can back myself out of a lot of the other ones. And now I've got everything I need in one place, separately cataloged, so that I can tell the difference between which email address. Yeah, that's so critical to me. And I could use my own domain. And you help me with that. You provide tools to make it easy to create those.
That's right. I think a lot of people have the idea that all of this is really hard, right? And I think it can feel hard, right? It can feel
Sure.
hard. And one of the things that you get with us is you have a great support team. But we put a lot of effort into supporting our customers, not just through direct interactions with our support team, but all the way through the process. Because it shouldn't feel hard to get privacy, right? It shouldn't feel hard to own your own identity on the internet.
That should be simple.
Right? It should be simple. And so we're here to make it simple for you.
And you've got support.
And one of the
They've
things
got
I think
support.
is really interesting about this, so after we talked yesterday, I got fascinated by this whole thing. Really, because I'm not a real big techie. I'll be the first one to admit it. But this sounds so good. Everything you said, that's the first thing I thought about. This has got to be a little difficult for a guy like me to navigate. And from what you say, it isn't that difficult, which I think is important, because simplicity in something like this is it would be a driving force for me. And I don't think I'm like the Lone Ranger on this.
That's right.
So that's what you mentioned for it. And how do people find this? Like, we found you on our show here, but
Yeah.
how do people find you?
Yeah, so for a long time, we were really serving the email enthusiast, right? So your techie friend would tell you, oh my gosh, I use FASTMAIL,
go to
and you should
FASTMAIL.
use it too, right? And now as privacy is becoming a bigger and bigger issue and people are thinking about their data and where it is out in the world, I think more and more people are seeking us out, right? They're saying, how can I get more privacy? And it is an important thing to us, and so we go out and talk about it a lot. And people are like, I didn't even realize. And so,
Great.
Right.
yeah.
So all I have to do is go to fastmail.com. That's your email.
Yep.
That's your web location. I create an account, and I get all these features automatically. It's no harder than creating an account on Gmail. It's
That's
the
right.
same thing. And you have an import tool that I give you access to my Gmail account.
Right.
You pull all the email off of my Gmail account and automatically load it into my
Yep.
inbox.
With
on
all your
FastMail.
same settings, if you're a labels user, it'll all be still labeled, things like that.
That is just amazing. That's great. And support. Now, because there have been times when I've had a little bit of difficulty with Google Mail, and so you figure I'll just pick up the phone and call somebody.
Right.
Yeah, forget that. I mean, it's bot city. You have actual human beings that I can get on the phone with who can
Yes.
help me.
Well, we do support by email because so much of email is, I need to go look something up for you, and then I need to make sure you click the right link. So we do tend to do it in text so that everybody gets everything right.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it can be really scary, right? Email is a critical part of your day. What happens when something goes wrong? And being able to reach out to our support team, and I think they're terrific, they're absolutely top notch. And people, when they talk to them, they're like, oh, wow, this is a totally different experience. Right? We want our support team to be empowered to solve your problems, not just to tell you, I'm sorry, that problem can't be solved.
Here's a list of frequently asked
Right,
questions.
exactly.
Find which one seems to match the problem you've
Right.
got. I'm going to talk about that experience too, because I know you're really proud of your team.
Oh my gosh.
And it's a great group. And in technology, we tend to think in terms of bots rather than in terms of people. So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the people on your team.
Great.
And we're having a great conversation with Helen Horstmann Allen
Absolutely.
about FastMail. Back after these messages with more of a terrific CEO chat.
We're Dr. Mark and Liz from Marriage Matters, a show that inspires, instills hope, and empowers couples to weather the stresses of married life.
Join us each week to hear how couples, real couples like you, have overcome challenges that were hurting their marriages, as well as getting expert advice on ways to nurture a happy and healthy relationship.
Tune in Fridays at 4:30 p.m. and Thursdays at 9 a.m. on RVN TV.
The new Kentucky Fried Chicken Sandwich with brioche buns, mayo, pickles, and a quarter-pound filet as far as the eye can see. Get comfy, it's gonna be a while. This thing's huge. Get the new Kentucky Fried Chicken Sandwich for just $3.99. It's finger-licking good.
We're back.
We are back with more CEO Chat with Helen Horstmann, and we are talking about FASTMAIL, and I'm thinking, after we get off the program, I have to go online and create an account.
Yeah,
It
right.
makes so much sense, and there's so much downside to free mail that I
Right.
hadn't really thought about. And one just sort of popped up during the break. You worry about spam and you worry about malware coming through on email.
And I said,
you're
"Do you?"
smiling because you've got a good answer for that.
Right. I said, oh, really? I don't worry about that at all. Don't people's spam filters just work?
Duh.
Right.
But your AOL, we shared yesterday that I'm one of those fossils who still has an AOL email account
We'll bring you in too.
and a Google Mail account, and stuff gets through.
Yep.
But it doesn't get through with FastMail. You guys have a great record for that.
I feel very happy about the performance of my spam filters. So
That's
I guess
terrific. That's
there you
great.
go.
Well, you're only as good as your team, right?
That's absolutely true, right?
So
And I
why don't
think
you let us know? About
Yeah.
that?
right. We talk a lot about the values that drive us to build the product that we do, right? That you're the customer, that you come first, right? That your data belongs to you. But when you talk about how you care about your customers, like that begins with caring about your team, right? If you have a great team who understands your values and who are treated with respect, it's easier for them to build products that treat customers with respect too, I think. So we've had great success building our team out in Philadelphia, right? FastMail is originally based in Melbourne, Australia. And
You
so
even pronounced it,
Yeah,
Melbourne.
right.
yes, I've had a lot of practice.
Yeah, I'll bet you have.
And we joined up with them in 2016 and have been growing U.S. operations for them since then. But it's just been amazing to, first of all, get to work with them, right? They're a terrific team and they had great values coming in. And then to get to spread that here in Philadelphia. So I've been growing the team. We have a technology group, we have our platform group, we have the marketing group, and then of course we have the support team, because when you talk about great support, right, great support is 24/7. And we used to have people like working through the night, which is, nobody really likes to work the third shift. And so what we've done now is we've moved the teams around the world so we have complete coverage, but everybody gets to work during their own
shifts, but
daytime.
everybody's working during the day.
That's exactly right. So
Which-
you get, right, nobody's up in the middle of the night trying to answer your question. Maybe you get a better
they're all working during their regular day hours, whatever they are, and that's how many users do you have?
We have about 200,000 users. And
Really?
right, yes.
And capacity-wise, how big could that be?
We could easily add.
No limit on that. You can get up to $1 billion if, and that's one of the reasons why you're on
That's
CEO
right.
Chat. We want to
Yep.
talk about that.
Yeah.
There are an awful lot of people out there on free mail. You want to be on fast mail. That's the point we want to make. You really do, and it's for the price. You can't beat the feature list. It's just amazing.
If
What about uptime?
uptime is,
Ever have an outage? Ever have any downtime? Where are the
I mean,
servers?
the servers are actually here in New Jersey, and
Okay.
and we have some in Seattle as well.
All right,
so-
in a data center, all
Yes,
redundantly
yes.
backed up,
That's
and
right.
so 22 years, 21 years that you've been
Yeah.
doing this, so it's not like you've seen, I don't guess you see too much new. You've pretty much seen it all, haven't you?
Well, you say that, but people are constantly coming out with new email products, right? Email's not a solved problem for most people. I think everybody uses it, but everybody wishes the experience were better. And so I think that's really what drives us every day, right? We can always improve on the experience you're having, right? Email should help facilitate your work life, your personal life, but then it should let you get back to that life.
That is
How did
such a,
what piqued your interest to start this? I mean, that amazes me. All of a sudden, all this stuff is. I'm fascinated by what you're saying. Okay.
Yep.
And what did you wake up one time and say, I'm interested in email? I mean, how did it happen?
Yeah.
That is, yes, that's a funny question. I wake up every day and it's like, how could I solve another problem,
Okay,
right?
right.
And I got involved with email when my business partner had started the business, but he didn't really know much about business. And so
Okay.
I thought, I can see a whole bunch of problems I can solve for
this
you.
is where the Wharton thing comes in.
This is where the Wharton
Right.
thing comes
Uh-huh.
in, right? And then it just, there's always a problem to solve every single day, so it just keeps me going all this time.
Great,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Yes.
And 200,000 users now, and you can, no limited capacity. There are
Right.
100,000 people out there that ought to make the jump right now.
That's right, today.
They really ought. I mean, there's no, well, finish watching the program. but after that, get online. I mean, if you're watching on your computer, then browse on over to fastmail.com and create an account.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you do that? I
If
just
you
think
bought
it's
a coffee
so-
today, you
I
can spend
just-
that money on email instead.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, and it's way less expensive. And when you consider a lot of the features you have to pay for anyway, and you're still giving your data away.
That's right.
You never get privacy no matter how much you give Google.
Right, that's right.
They don't sell privacy.
They don't
That's
sell
not available
privacy.
to.
And privacy is something that you can always start getting today, right? It isn't like, oh, it's too late, my data's already out there, right? Data goes bad fast, right? If you start protecting your data today, in a few months, the data that
In a couple of months, you're an unknown quantity to
Right,
these people.
and
They
it
don't know
goes
what to
on
put in
and
front
on.
of you anymore.
That's right. So,
Wow.
it's
So, and
never
that,
too late to
that
protect
right
yourself.
to forget, that, by the way, that's a couple more points I want to make. The Europeans with GDPR,
Yep.
with the data privacy laws, are way ahead of us. You're totally GDPR compliant.
Totally GDPR compliant.
Okay.
Right, yes. Right, in Europe, they talk a lot about the right to be forgotten.
That's the
Right.
one that we talked about yesterday.
And I think that's such an important idea, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there are some things about you that don't ever go away, right? The key points of your life, who you are, where you were born, things like that. But everything you do, everything you say, that doesn't need to be tracked for all of time, right? And the right to say, get rid of that. I don't think that needs to be tracked about me anymore is important. And I think some of these things will come with laws, right? That Europe and a lot of other places in the world are kind of ahead of the United States on this question. But
Right.
things can change, right? The telephone number portability from cell phones, that
Right.
didn't happen because of customer complaints. That happened because of a law. So some things we can solve as businesses, and some things we have to ask for
Some things we
as
have
citizens.
to ask for, and this is one of those things we have to ask for. And I do want to point out, GDPR was developed after Google.
Yeah.
So Google is already lobbying hard to make sure that GDPR continues to allow them to do what they do.
Yeah.
So it'll always be, even under the most stringent rules, all the lobby money is making sure that the pre-existing free mail companies out there are excluded from a lot of that.
It's push and pull.
Yeah, so you won't be safe really until you decide to take charge of this yourself. And FASTMAIL is how you grab the reins of your own data and become
Yeah.
who you are onto yourself, which I just think is great.
Put yourself back in control.
That's how is that a bad plan?
Yeah, I'm always out of control, so
I was going to say it, but I think you're referring to something a little different than FASTMAIL might be able to help you with. And it's a simple process. It's easy to do. $5 a month, and that's all. That's it.
it.
You're up and running.
Yep.
Yeah,
And it's uptime is 100%, essentially 100%, and everything's backed up.
yeah.
Everything, yep.
Wow, so a lot of your customers then, I guess, are business users who start out with the idea that, they're in business and they want their data. They're more concerned about privacy, I think, than the average citizen might be.
I think that's right. Yeah, a lot of our customers are the people who have realized it's a problem for a while, right? And they are taking the steps now. And I think privacy is a journey that people are on, right? Maybe they hear about it, and then you need to hear about it a few more times, and then you act, right? So if you're in technology, you know more, right? You know how the
Sure.
sausage gets made, and so you might be more concerned than the average person. But our other customers are people who are concerned about their identity, right? Business owners, entrepreneurs, people who know that it's important that they have the same identity on the internet, that people can always reach them. It's about their personal brand. And then, of course, there's just the people who like to have support and like to have.
And they want to know they're going to be taken care of, and
Wanna
that
know.
somebody's there to take care of them if they have an issue.
That's right.
I'm thinking about privacy in families, too, where you're worried about your children who might be communicating by email.
Absolutely.
And wouldn't it make sense for your kids to have secured email accounts rather than be out there where anybody can just sort of do whatever they want? It scares me a little. I know.
Yep.
I know it's not as insecure as maybe I'm making it out to be.
That's true.
It's
but-
not like I can get your email. I mean, we don't.
Yes, but on the other hand, I absolutely know that my children's web browser ads are very different than my own. They're definitely leaving lots of data droppings around the internet too.
So do your kids have FastMail accounts?
They do, yes.
Okay, good. And you feel better about that
Yes, I
because
do.
they do.
Yeah.
That's great. What about their schoolmates? Have they gone and gotten FastMail accounts?
They also have school email addresses.
Okay, they do. And
Yes.
that's, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's interesting about this is a lot of people don't know it exists.
No, I know. I mean, I didn't know
like
what it
a web-
was. I'm thinking MailChimp. It's not
Yeah.
MailChimp. It's totally different from that. It's much better.
Yeah.
Really, it's so bread and butter and it's so obvious.
Uh-huh.
I think because it's so obvious, it kind of escapes.
Right,
Everybody's just slotted themselves into thinking, I'm a sheep and I'm going to
Yeah.
follow
Yeah.
Google. And, and there's no reason why you have to do that. You can take control of that.
I will say, speaking of something that's so obvious, I didn't even think to bring it up. You know what children don't have most of the time? Calendars. And so we do have a family calendar, and so when my children have another event, it just pops up on their
Really?
computer. And they're like, how'd you make that
How
happen?
does that happen? How does that happen? That's built
Right,
in.
yes, that's built into FASTMAIL.
And
so-
calendar management in general is built in. So
That's
you
right.
don't give up anything at all by
That's right.
switching from Google Mail to FastMail.
Yep.
You get privacy, obviously. You get your own domain.
Yep.
You get any number of email aliases.
Yep.
On that domain that you can use to track the responses you're getting from emails you're sending.
Yep.
I just think that is so obviously cool.
So have you picked out your own domain then yet?
I'm thinking about it, and you'll help me with that, right? I mean,
Yes.
if I go on FastMail, I'll say I want this domain. You'll check to see if it's available,
Yep.
and I'll get that domain
Yep.
all through you. I don't need GoDaddy,
Yeah.
and that's another thing.
Yep.
I mean, there are plenty of people out there. You may not be aware of it. GoDaddy seems like a logical, safe place to go.
Yep.
You can do way better than GoDaddy.
You can, but if you already have a website, if you are already hosting your website at GoDaddy, you can still have your email somewhere else. And I think that's something else that people don't really realize. Lots of places do offer email, and it's just not that good. And so they don't bother using it because it's not that good. And the way the internet works, you can actually say my website goes over here and my email goes over here. So all those people who have their own personal website, bobsbusiness.com.
That's it. I'm doing it today.
Right. bobsbusiness@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Bob, you can come over, right? You
Yeah.
can come to FastMail. Use Bob's Business for your email.
Okay, let's say I have 20 or 30 employees, and they all have email addresses through GoDaddy or Outlook. I guess Microsoft is their provider, right? So, and again, I clicked OK and said, I trust you,
Yep.
which was a big mistake. I want to take all that for my 20 employees off and put it on FastMail.
Yes.
Do I have to do it 20 times, or is there a way to take a company and move it?
We can help you with that, right? The
Okay.
support team can definitely.
Okay,
Get
so
you
I can give you
over
the list of
quickly.
email addresses
Yeah.
that I want to port.
That's
And
right.
you'll come up with the choreography for that,
That's
including
right.
moving all the messages over.
Yes.
So that I'm up and running immediately.
We'll have you cut over and it will be clear, come over now.
And this is when you're now start
This-
using
that's
this
right.
instead of that.
That's
And
right.
you can do it instantly, right? This doesn't take a day,
It does, yeah.
Okay?
pretty much
Well,
instantly.
moving a domain can take a little bit of time.
Okay, right.
Because you have to
You have to
republish
get,
all the
that
instructions.
approved.
right?
There's some things you have to go
There's some
through.
things. and
Right.
You have to tell people, come look over
Yeah, but
here
you
now.
do it. I mean,
Yes.
that's the cool thing is you do it. And I'd save a lot of money, actually, at $5 a month. That's much less expensive than if I separately source each of those things.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to save money that way. This is no, I'm going to do this. I mean, this is something I'm going to do. And people out there that are, what's the matter with you? Get off of Google Mail. Get off of AOL. That's embarrassing. But Google, I should get off of that. But Google Mail, definitely. I mean, Gmail.
Yeah.
You get off that and on to FastMail. And
Right. And it's hard, and it's hard, and people think, oh, but everybody has my email address. But the thing is, you don't have to give up the email
don't give that
address.
up. You're
right?
really
You
not
can
giving
keep
that up.
forwarding that mail on to your new address, right? And that's
That's a point to make. I mean, you don't have to close down your Google Mail account.
That's
You could
right.
forward that to your FastMail account.
That's right.
And then as mail stops coming in through your Google Mail account, you can gradually turn it off if
That's
you
right.
want.
If you want. But, I have email addresses that, I started using in 1995, and they still get
They're
mail.
still there, and your mail still comes over
That's
to
right.
FastMail, and you don't lose any of that. Attachments, no limit on how big an attachment. What are the limits on that?
You can have an attachment up to 50 megabytes. So,
That's like double the attachment size for most free email accounts.
yeah. Now,
All right, that's this doesn't suck, as they say. I think I'm so glad you're on the program.
Yeah.
We're at that part of the program where you get to look in your camera. It's the one on the left. Tell everybody how to learn more, how to switch their accounts over,
Right.
and who they can call if they need more information.
yeah, so come on over to fastmail.com, just sign up an account, and if you need help, please reach out to our support team at support@fastmail.com. Right? And I'd love to hear more from you. If you have any messages or feedback, send me an email at ceochat@horstmannallen.com.
We have an email.
You
account.
have your own email
There you
address
go.
too.
Send me the link. I want to start using that. That's exciting.
Absolutely.
I think that's such a great. That is.
Well,
so
I get
cool.
that email, so that's
Well,
that's
okay,
for me.
good. I definitely, and you'll forward it to us. And
Yeah, forward it to us.
what a great interview.
Yeah, now she's got 200,000 too.
And yeah, we got two more. Yeah, we have
there
two
you
more
go.
people. And with a little luck, well, not luck. I mean, if you really use your head and really think this through, this is just a step you have to take. If you're serious about your email, even private email messages, it's just
Serious
a step
about
you
your
need to
email, serious about your privacy, serious about your online identity. Right, I think.
Then
this
you
is
just have to
important.
do this. And you, like we said yesterday, and we read in the papers all the time, if you don't know what the product is, then you're the product.
Yep.
And that's true of all the free internet services like Google Mail, and you don't want
That's
to don't want to be beholden to that.
That's right. Take that back. For $5 a month, you can take that back
Yeah,
for yourself.
take that all back, and it's well worth it. Plus, you get a lot more that you would otherwise have to pay for anyway.
And you get a lot more.
I'm going to save a ton of money in attorney fees, too, I'll tell you that.
I'm-
I'm glad I met you, Helen. I'll tell you.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us for this really informative, eye-opening interview on CEO Chat. And thank you, Helen, for
Yeah.
joining us today with great information. Get to fastmail.com and learn more. And come back next week and join us for another CEO Chat on Friday at 10:30.
Thank you, Helen.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Our pleasure.
Pleasure.
Bye.